Hello, this is Amazing Trinkets first Tumbler tutorial. I'm going to show you how I made the Boujee spider tumbler. All the materials I used are linked down below, so give us a like, comment, let us know what you think, share, subscribe. I think that covers everything, so let's go ahead and get started. So you're going to need to start with a prepped tumbler and cut your pattern template out on your machine. To get the proper width of this pattern, I use a sewing tape measure around the cup, and then I put that number in. I typically don't worry about the height, as I usually cut that off. Anyway, this one just happened to be about the same height as the cup, and I don't like to mess with the height because I don't want to change the ratio of the picture, because sometimes that can make it look smushed or stretched. So I pretty much just focus on making sure I have something that is tall enough and then make it as wide as it needs to be. This is a seamless pattern. It's a little less forgiving than some I've worked with, so you want to try and line it up as best you can. So once I get it where I like it, I hold it tight to the cup. I peel back one side of the transfer tape, and then I slowly peel back the paper while putting pressure to apply it to the cup. It is a little bit tricky to take the transfer tape off because sometimes the vinyl doesn't stick to the cup all the way, so you want to kind of peel back slowly, making sure that your template is sticking as you're pulling it off. So following that, I use the Wicked Shimmer cup edging tool to cut the top and bottom of my tumbler. It gives me a nice clean edge, and if it's uneven when it's put on, it won't matter because you're going to straighten it out anyway. After that, I had some vinyl strips I decided to put around the top and bottom just to kind of give it a finished off edge. I needed to get a lot closer to it in person, so this is showing me putting it on, but I ended up ripping that off and doing it again, but you get the idea. So after that, you're going to paint your tumbler, let that dry, and now it's on to the fun part with the alcohol inks. For this, I used Tim Holtz brand alcohol ink, Pitch Black and Slate. And initially I start with the darkest color, transitioning to the lightest color. And to start, it's pretty much just about getting full coverage, so I use the black to fully cover the tumbler. To apply, I'm using a cut t-shirt piece. It's literally just a white t-shirt that I cut pieces off of to apply on cups. And as you can see, I'm just getting full coverage. Make sure you get the bottom and the edges. So here you can see I moved my t-shirt piece to a clean side. I'm putting on the lighter color Slate. Typically I don't have to change my cloth, but when working with black, the black kind of overloads any color you use next. So for that reason, I switched my cloth to a fresh side. The goal of this part is to get the depth of the shadows around your pattern. So I will go over this tumbler multiple times until I'm satisfied, and you kind of see that it starts to get a little bit more definition as I go around, and you start to get those dark lines in the grooves of the vinyl. That's what I'm looking for. Again, don't forget about the bottom and the top edge. Make sure you get those as well. So as you can see, the more you wipe on, the more it changes. And I have had times where maybe I had too much ink on my cloth and I'll wipe it on and all the definition is gone. That's okay, because you can keep going over and keep making adjustments until it looks how you would like. So that looks pretty good. It's ready for the first coat of epoxy. So put that on, let it dry, and then print and cut your decals. So for these flowers, they are watercolor flowers. When I uploaded them to Cricut Design Space, they were all jagged and it wouldn't work right. So I actually manipulated all of these in Photoshop to smooth out the edges in order to use them. You could use any flowers to your liking. I just thought these matched the aesthetic, so I found a way to make it work. So once those flowers are on, I kind of just eyeballed where my spider's going to go. However, it doesn't get put on yet. You're going to seal your flowers really well. I use the 2X Rust-Oleum Clear Spray, and then you're going to put your second coat of epoxy on and let that dry. I found that with this printable vinyl, it's best when I seal it. I tend to get some air bubbles around the edges when I don't. Now you're ready to detail your flowers. I have the markers I used for this linked down below. And the best part about this is there's really no right or wrong way to do it. You can pick any colors you'd like. I basically follow the outlines of the images, and then I add some little details like 3 dots or multiple line layers around the image. The first time I saw this done on a tumbler was by Glamour Tribe Customs. She had some pretty beautiful tumblers with this detailing. And I also talked with my mom and my sister. They're pretty heavy scrapbookers, and I guess this is a technique that's used quite a bit in scrapbooking as well. I told them they better start sharing scrapbooking techniques with me so that I can start applying them to other tumblers. So it just kind of gives it a little extra detail, makes it pop a little bit more, and just enhances the look of the images. These acrylic pens are really nice. They go on pretty smooth, and it's also nice because if you make any mistakes or if you don't like what you did, you can just wipe it off and start over. So that's one of the reasons why it's great to epoxy and then add this detailing, because it's very forgiving and you can just wipe off anything that you don't like. If only I could really work this fast, I could get a lot more tumblers done. So once all the flowers are detailed, it's time to place the spider. You might notice I have some little swirls there in the body of the spider. I added those myself, so they aren't included on the image I linked below. But if you feel like adding anything, you could add whatever you'd like. It's a little bit tricky placing this. With printable vinyl, you can't use transfer tape, so I got these 2 legs out, and then I panicked a little bit of how I was going to get the rest of this on there. Fortunately, it worked out the first try, because Lord knows I've had to do many print and cuts or printed water slides before I get it right. So once that's on, again, you're going to seal this really well, and then you're going to apply your third coat of epoxy and let that dry. Once that's ready to go, I have a small piece of sanding paper, and I'm just basically feeling over the tumbler for any bumps and smoothing those out. I use rubbing alcohol to clean the cup after I sand it, and then next I'm going to get out my Dremel to expose a thin rim of stainless prior to my final coat of epoxy. So make sure you wear your PPE while doing this. You definitely need glasses. Guarantee you will get something in your eye if you don't have glasses on. It has little bits that fly everywhere. Also wear your respirator just because of the dust that comes off of this. I typically like to do this outside. There's a lot of dust, it's very messy, but for the purposes of this video I did it at my workstation. And this is a Dremel flap wheel attachment that I have linked down below as well. So once that looks nice and even all the way around, that's going to allow a nice seal for my epoxy on that final coat, and it also gives your edge a nice finished look. So again, clean that off with rubbing alcohol, and now we're ready to detail that Boujee spider. So I'm using these same black and white markers, but then I also have a different set of markers I linked below because I actually decided to use some silver and some gold into the body to give some accents there. I follow the same process I did with the flowers, outlining the legs, adding the 3 dots, and just detailing until I'm happy with it. Here I'm getting out some gold and different colors to add some accents. To start these markers, you have to press them up and down on paper to get the ink flowing, and give them a good shake as well. Once those details are done, and your spider is nice and bougie, then it is ready for its final coat of epoxy. Once it's dry enough to handle, you can clean off the rim. I use a knife to get any excess epoxy off the top or inside, and then I use, it's basically a knockoff magic eraser. I believe it's called a melamine sponge. I have those linked down below as well. You can get a big pack of them for fairly cheap. So I use some acetone on that, and it cleans the spray paint off really easily. And once that's done, it's ready for a nice hot wash with some Dawn dish soap, and after 72 hours it's ready to go. So here is the Boujee spider in all its glory. If you make one of your own, please share it. I'd love to see it. So like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully we'll get some new tutorials out for you soon, and thank you for watching.